5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 1 of the Toledo Track and Trail podcast. I'm with the Toledo Trail Riders. My name is Matt Bucher. I'm with my humble host over here, Marty MX Express Wheeler. And here we are, Marty, episode 1. What do you think?
It's as you can see, I'm ready. I've got my single track put up there. I'm going to pretend that I'm riding here.
Exactly. I'd be honest with you. So the audience knows we've been talking for a little bit here, kind of getting prepared, and I'd not even noticed Marty's on the screen. I've just been looking at the single track behind you.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're welcome. So you operate, and most people know, but for those that do not, you operate MX Express in. Is that considered Swanton?
Yes.
Swanton.
Yes, Swanton, Ohio.
Okay. Right by the Toledo Express Airport, formerly known as Zero Gravity.
Mm-hmm.
And how long you guys been operating that?
This will be our 5th season, I believe.
Okay. And who is the when you say we, tell the audience a little bit about who's we?
Well, my boss, Lori, my wife. It's a family-owned. It's really, we started this as a family. We've been riding as a family, and had the opportunity to get into with Jeff and Tim over there, which ran the track a long time ago. And so my sons, I have 2 sons and a son-in-law, and they all help. AJ's helping a little bit more than the other boys because they've actually got real jobs. So they're expected to work and make some money for their families while we're playing over the track. But my wife, Lori, and Chelsea, they're both right there at the track. Every event we have, they're ones that you see sign in and help you with all the paperwork and that kind of stuff. And of course, the grandkids are right there too, trying to get under people's feet and keep things interesting over there to things. So it's a good, it's been so great. It's been, like I said, family. It's just amazing amount of people that come out that are just great people.
Well, you certainly have built the family atmosphere, there at MX Express, and it's cool to hear, everybody that I talk to just raves about the track and how easy, I shouldn't say easy, how safe, it is if you can consider, riding dirt bikes safe. The average person would probably say that's crazy, but there are tracks out there that are not, as safe, but your design, your meticulousness on the the maintenance of the track and the watering and the the little details, like the little what are the things you put in the side of the track, the little yellow deals there, the markers,
Track markers.
I mean, that's just the little details matter, doesn't it, when you're operating a track?
It does. And then, we, like I said, not only does my grown-up kids ride, but I've got 7 grandkids now that are sort of coming up through the ranks that are, because we ride, are looking to ride too. So when we built the track, I have to shout out to the Seth Shoemaker that runs the dozer, and he really thinks through the whole track. He's raced. He's been on the dirt bike since he's a little kid. And so, he knows what might get a little sketchy. I mean, it may be great for the fast guys like you, but, but as far as the little kids, it may not be. So we try to design the track that the little kids can go out and ride the full-blown track and be, as you said, fairly safe. Like I said, we try to make sure that, they maybe get a little carried away. It's really not going to let them get away too fast and too far. So,
yeah, I think at the end of the day, your goal is that everybody leaves with a smile.
Yes, absolutely.
And I know that I appreciate calling me fast, but certainly a motocross track. I'm a woods guy, and I think most people know that. But I try to stay as low to the ground as I possibly can anymore. It kind of gets scary getting up off the ground, in your older age. But I think at the end of the day, when everybody leaves together and they've had a good time, and you can feel like you can put your child out on the track and not feel you're already nervous anyway, right? Because your kid's out there riding around. But then all of a sudden, if you have a track that's, not as, safe friendly, if you will, as yours, I think it's intimidating for a parent. But so you guys have been doing this for 5 years, and the track sat idle for a long time. What made you want to kind of say, okay, Lori, AJ, Sean, and Andrew, let's and Chelsea, what are we doing? Let's jump into this.
Well, we've known Jeff and Tim for a long time. We do a lot of rides with them, Barstow to Vegas, and that kind of stuff. And he's got a great track there. He's always had a track, since I think he closed in 2001, and sort of private track, and he kept it nice, and they go out and ride. But really, long story is that we built a track at home. And the crowd started getting a little bit bigger and bigger. So it wasn't just my kids; it was, my kids' friends, and so just like anything, liability wise, I don't have the property that they do, what we do over the track. So the size of the track and what we wanted to do wasn't really wasn't really probably in the future of our little small track out back. And of course, we have horses, so it encroached on the horse pastures. My wife wasn't real happy with that. So,
Wait. So you're saying dirt bike riders and horseback people don't always see eye to eye? Is
oh
that is
no,
that
no.
true?
When when I take some of the pasture away from Chelsea and Lori, they get pretty ugly, So
You can't do that. No, no,
no.
no.
So now I have some. It's really great because if you go out there, I have the horses. You'll see them out standing on some of the doubles or a tabletop out there,
Hmm.
and so they can see all around our flat property, right? So apparently they're getting some good use to it. But no, we just we felt that it was time for us to probably, if we're going to do this, let's do it. Let's do it
Right.
right where we can do it and have it. And like I say, it was fun having my friends come by, and it's fun go out and watching them, and it's fun watching them grow and go faster and that kind of stuff. So we were able to get you know uh, Greg Dervage came out, and a few other guys came out and rode our little technical track. It was definitely technical and very little, but it was like, man, this is fun. So I convinced him into trying it out.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys have built, a heck of I mean, 5 years is not a long time. And I think you guys have built a heck of a brand, if you will. And, um, it's great what you guys are doing. I think you guys are, top notch and top class. And, you can tell you put maximum effort into it. And I think excuse me, I think that was kind of jumping back to why are we doing this podcast, is, I look around to see, okay, who are the, who are some leaders around the area we can maybe talk to and that kind of thing, talk to different track owners and power sport businesses. And we're going to get into that, but who is around that can put in maximum effort. And I think, I think the Wheeler family, clearly does. So whatever it's, your practice, I mean, you guys are mostly practice track, right? And you do some races, but it seems like every single thing, whether it's a practice, or a moto, you guys are, definitely putting in maximum effort, which is great. So,
Well, we probably, I wouldn't say go overboard, but every event, Seth is on the dozer. So we're fixing face, we're actually making sure the faces are done, anything's packed in and everything's, been touched up. So every event, practice or race, it doesn't make any difference. We're still touching every piece of that track every time we open. So
right.
trying to, like I said, trying to make it fun, change it up a little bit, making sure, because we don't have a lot of property. So we try to throw some changes up 2, 3, 4 times a year, just so everybody doesn't get too used to what they're riding. And we throw them a surprise every once in a while.
Well, I appreciate it a couple years ago. You guys are so flexible. Like when you tried the enduro cross, and I remember me and my two little guys were out there, and you guys were getting the track ready, and of course, I'm just like magnetized towards the trees, and I start winding around in that little stretch of woods, and I'm like, hey, let's throw a little section in here. I think it was, and something like that. And boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, you had a little trail in there, and it worked out really good. I think the endurocross thing is, like we all found out, more of a West thing, but West Coast type of thing. But hey, you're willing to try. You're willing to try it out and throw a dart out and see what happens. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And by heart, I'm an off-road guy too. So actually, I'm afraid of heights. So I have a hard time getting airborne on the track. But no, that's like I said, we got to try to change it up a little bit. Like I said, get the guys out there. We've changed up, made a couple of big changes. After a couple of years in, to slow people down a little bit, because we had a couple sections that some of those guys were getting pretty good. I think Jeff was out, and I want to say he had one of the oh gosh, one of the new electronics that would actually show him his speed and his height and all that kind of stuff. And I think down the one straightaway, he got like 56,000 miles an hour.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so we're like, wow, not everybody can do that, but still being that could be capable. We said, okay, maybe we better change this up a little bit, So, and that's what we try to do.
Yeah, no, that's you just keep improving and make things better each day, each time. And you sounds like you got a heck of a guy running the dozer over there. Maybe we should get him on one of these times and talk to Seth. But I think kind of jumping into switching gears a little bit, and why we're doing this podcast. And I think ultimately what we're trying to accomplish, just so the audience knows, is we just want to have fun. you know the virus, not to go into the negative, if you will, but the virus was really the main reason why we started this podcast. And just so the audience knows, I called Marty a couple weeks ago and said, hey, what do you think about talking about this? I can see on social media and the internet that people were going, kind of stir crazy, especially, well, when I say people, I mean riders. The Maumee State Forest was shut down. Your guys' track, all the tracks in Ohio are basically closed, and all the state forests were, the Wayne National Forest, and people are not happy about that, are they, Marty?
No, yeah, including me. I live a mile from the forest, and it's just so nice to, at the end of the day, go over and take a few laps and sort of, recoup some and regenerate yourself and do that. So yeah, it's really difficult times at this point in time.
Yeah, and I was trying to think of the other day of when we got that phone call, and the forest manager, Don, called me, and he was about 4:30 on a Monday, and he called me. I said, hey, Don, how you doing? He goes, well, not good. And I'm like, okay, why? And he said, I'm been ordered to go to the parking lot and shut it down. And I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be good, and it's not good, but he's just following orders. He's just doing what he's told to do. And what do you do? This is the way it is. And a lot of people are upset about the inconsistency of the government. You look at these big outline of behind you and me. The state of Ohio is very much different than what's going on in the state of Michigan, as far as trail riding. So um what are you going to do? I mean, you got to abide, right? I mean, we just got to get through this hump.
Matt, I'm just thinking about, a lot of things that probably, uh, dirt bike riders have gone through, whether it's the economy down and, the sales of bikes weren't great, and that kind of stuff over, the last few years, or I should say, 5 to 10 years. But, I think the difference with a lot of sports, I think the dirt bike family, the dirt bike people seem to be a different type of a person. So they're used to, taking things in stride, and looking at things and following directions. It's like, I've ridden many, many years in Arizona in the desert, and, a true bike rider is the one that carries, brings stuff into the desert, candy bars, drinks, power bar, whatever, but carries the stuff back out. They're always thinking, about what's going on, what's the best for the stuff. And I think, really truly we're all upset. I mean, like I said, I just sit back and I look at that thinking how I'm going through this trail behind me, but I do think really down deep in their hearts, the bike guys, and I don't want to exclude anybody else with an ATV or side by sides, they really know that, hey, we could be putting other people's lives at risk, not ours, not only ours, the ambulance people, if we do get hurt, or first aid people, or the ER things. So I know we're all having a difficult time, but I still think we got a great group of people that understand and sees the big picture instead of just what's happening right at the moment. And like I say, hopefully things will change soon.
And I think they're gonna, and this it's not going to go on forever, and I think, it's, my dad always says it's 2% of the people that cause you 98% of the problem. I want to ride just as much as anybody. I mean, we have a lot of work yet to do at the Maumee State Forest. We're putting a new single track that got halted. We can't go out there and volunteer. We can't. I don't like it, but I can't do anything about it. I can't call them and say, open it up, let us in. I mean, I work in healthcare, and this thing is very scary. And we're trying to keep it at bay, if you will, where I work, and not in our building. So it's real. I mean, it's really, first you think, is this as bad as what you're hearing on TV? Yeah, it is. And, when it starts to touch you almost, it makes you think, wow, this is the real deal, if you will. But I think we're going to get through it. I agree with you totally. The riders, for the most part, I think are handling it. It's just, I think when there's inconsistency among decision makers, that becomes a big sticking point, if you will. And there's not much you can do, unfortunately. Just sometimes you have to vent it out, if you will. The last place you want to go right now is the hospital. I can tell you that much. I don't even want to go on. My gutters need cleaned. I don't really want to go on the gutter. Honey, I'm not trying to put it off. I promise. But I don't want to slip and fall.
Okay, Matt. I believe you there.
Okay. Yeah. Come on. You're supposed to be on my side, Marty, but no, in all seriousness, the hospital's the last place you want to go, but we're going to get through this together. I always try to remain optimistic. I know you do too, Marty, and we just got to get through it. And I think that's really what kind of inspired, you and I, if you will, to kind of start jumping into this whole thing. And, who can we start talking to? Can we bring on ODNR? Can we bring on other track owners? Can we talk to the local power sport dealerships? And we have, and we're trying real hard to bring them on this podcast, because what we found out from talking to people, there is a lot of racing history, in this part of, the country, in Toledo, Ohio area, or the Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan region, if you will, the Midwest region. The roots run real deep with racing and riding. And I think the audience is going to be very pleased with some of the guests that we have on here.
Matt, let's back up just a little bit, because, I get to tell you my spiel and or MX Express and the family and that kind of stuff. But I think what we did, though, is I don't want to say we forgot you, but, we probably ought to back up a little bit, because I think there's something that drives you to do this too. And I want to say that Toledo Trail Riders was a brainchild of yours, right? You guys put it together, you and your dad, and so let's back up a little bit and talk about the Toledo Trail Riders. How long has that been a club?
Here's how it goes, and I'll try to keep it as brief. Although in a podcast, you're not really supposed to keep it brief, right?
You're supposed to get the details, right?
Let it all out. So I grew up riding motocross, out of Delta and that kind of thing. But we started to make a shift into off-road riding and racing kind of when I was in 80s and then in the 125s and such. In the meantime, my dad would always take me trail riding out at the state forest, and we had a really good time always doing that. Um, but unfortunately, around the late 90s, mid 2000s, I don't have the exact years, but my dad had witnessed two gentlemen die out there on bikes. And then in around 2008, you know, what transpired from that is we would get to a race. We were doing GNCCs at the time. My dad would get to a race, ride for about 2 hours. Those are 3 hour races, and they're brutal. Get to about to the 2 hour mark, and then kind of have some kind of an effect on him to where he couldn't finish the race. And my dad's not a quitter. That he's just not a quitter. I mean, I've seen him finish races that are, you know, double A guys won't finish, and to see him quit, it was like, wow, something's going on. And he would say he would get tired. Everybody gets tired. I don't care who you are. And then all of a sudden your mind starts to kind of wander. And then after he witnessed two of these gentlemen unfortunately die, I mean, right in front of him, I kind of got inspired and said, okay, what can we do different? Because I was really noticing out there when I was riding. Now at this point, I jump on a YZ250. I'm going down straightaways, literally tapped on that bike. And I'm like, it's way too fast out here. You got tree roots growing. The trails are, 30, 40 feet wide. This is not the way it should be. And
Was that, sorry to bother, interrupt you there, but real quick,
yeah,
was that in the days when it was two-way?
um,
Or was it single
there
single
was
direction?
there was always parts that were two-way, but most of it was single direction.
Okay.
But at that point in time, they were just too wide and too fast. And so we knew we had to do something about it. So I sat down with Don, who I mentioned earlier, and I called him and we had a meeting. And this was in December of 2008. And if I remember it, I'll put the original volunteer contract in the video because I have it on the computer. But I sat down with him and just said, hey, what can we do, and to make this better? I mean, at that point we were A riders, and I think we kind of knew what we were doing, if you will, as far as the riding goes. And, he said, hey, why don't you volunteer and come out here and pick up litter,
Start at the
okay.
bottom.
We started at the bottom. And I've always kind of paralleled the Toledo Trail Riders with a mountain, and we just keep climbing the mountain, climbing the mountain, climbing the mountain. Well, as time goes on and we have a little more success and the club grows, the mountain gets a little less steep. We're always climbing the mountain, always, whether it's the race we do or ODNR or whatever. And we love them guys, don't get me wrong, but there's always a mountain to climb when you're talking about off-road riding. So we did that and we started the volunteer club, and it was just me and my dad and I and Jeff and his wife Shannon. We were out there picking up litter and in a mosquito infested Saturday morning. And I think we brought more cans of off back with us than we did actually the litter. And that's really where it started from. Next thing you know, we got a website, we got a social media page. Well, then when I first met you was 2015 or 14. We finally got our IRS status, and then we started taking memberships, like actually, dues paying memberships, and that's really kind of the story. I mean, we've done a ton of stuff, and I'm real proud of it. I kind of coined the club as the best volunteer club in America. I say that a lot, but I believe it. I mean it, and I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't. I'm real happy about it. I've met some really cool people that are in the club that I would call very dear friends, and We do a lot of events together. We do, volunteer work. I love being out in the woods. I mean, I live in the woods, so
Right.
I
Well,
can't really get enough.
we can see it's your baby. Like I said, that that forest. So I could only imagine your thoughts in your head about it being closed. It's like all of a sudden you've added two sections of single track
Yeah.
for us, and I mean, which is great. I'm humbled to be able to be involved with Toledo Trail Riders and let me hang out. And I've seen that. I lived in Arizona for many years. I grew up in Pennsylvania. They shut the woods down there many years ago. That when I was young, I could ride anywhere for
Yeah.
hours and hours and enjoy it, which is no longer. Uh, but Arizona with millions of acres and that's being choked. So it's so important that like I said, your group and what you've done has been has happened, because like with that there really wouldn't be any place to ride, and we'd be driving south maybe to southern Ohio or definitely up in Michigan to
Oh
ride for
yeah.
hours, where we've got this little thing in our backyard that within 15-20 minutes almost anybody can really be here to ride for some time. So
Well, and when we first started, I mean, when I first got on the SRV board, I mean, we had to fight tooth and nail just to get, to get me on the SRV board. And the reason the angle was, which is absolutely true. And you just said it. It's the Maumee State Forest is the only place around. I
yeah.
mean, this area. So it's like, okay, you got everybody kind of worried about Southeast Ohio. What about Northwest Ohio? Who's talking about that? Let me do that. Let the Toledo Trail Riders do that. So that's kind of how that started too, and that's been a big thing. I'd like to get them guys on the podcast too, if we can, and talk with them, because it's amazing how many people do exactly what we do all across the country. I learned that at the Novak conference last year out in Reno. And Novak, for anybody who wants to know, is a National Off-Highway Vehicle Conservation Council, and they do a great job, and they're very much the leader, if you will, of trail advocates, along with the AMA as well. But yeah, I'm really proud of where we're at. We saw this opportunity here to do something like this, and I mean, you're on our board of directors, and you provided great input for the club, and it's good to see things going in the right direction. A lot of clubs out there are not going in the right direction, and but again, I think as long as you can keep enjoying doing it, I really enjoy. I really enjoy being out on the trail, whether it's at Heinz Farm cutting new trail in, or we're out at the state forest and just weed whacking, and trimming, and just being around other club guys and girls that love doing that. That is like Christmas to me. And I say that a lot, but I really believe it, because I mean, I'm 38 years old. I don't get cool presents anymore, let's be honest, right? So, but that is like the greatest Christmas gift ever, being out in the woods with people you really enjoy, and doing what you really enjoy. I love doing that kind of work. So it's really fun.
With that being said, so I think that brings us right back around to where we are today, doing this podcast. You and I have been talking about, it's fun for us to do this stuff, but just think about the people that has got us where we are today by starting all this stuff and being great riders, and help promoting the riding. So I can just think back in the Delta days where the Mike Turries of the world, and a lot of those guys my kids watched. We've watched Jeff Walker and Greg Dervage, and a lot of those guys come up young, and we see them getting up, and now they're able to be able to be pros. And I just the other day we just had one of our other young men that's come to the track quite a bit, Stephen Kyle. He just just got his pro license.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
cool.
so
That's cool.
it's really cool. So I think and I'm going to let you talk about, what we're going to do. But man, I see, like I said, when we first started talking about this, I didn't even sleep that night. I'm just telling you, my mind is racing, thinking about all the people that we see around this area that we
Right.
really probably don't, you know, everybody knows Radar, but you know, but
He's on our list.
he's on our list, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's got a track that, or did have a track, with trails and motocross and stuff like, bar none. I mean, he could
Right.
have easily done District 14 stuff, right? But really, nobody knows that, and what's happening at Heinz Farm, and what's happening, what happened at Delta, and our log roads of the world, and our Super Coops, and Milan with Twisted. So there's a lot of things out there that is just so exciting to be able to talk about, and we probably don't even know exactly how much is out there until we start digging in there and start. I think when you said something about any suggestions or something, I think we saw what 3, 4, 5 different names pop up that I never knew.
No,
You know,
no, I didn't either.
so and then all of a sudden you start asking some questions like, really, and so that's really cool. That's really cool.
I think that I think Marty, the key word for what we're trying to do is the word celebration, and I think we can easily celebrate uh, our local history. You know, with with like a Jeff Greenberg and the Piasekis and the Mastins and the some of them guys, and then we can also talk about the future. With Greg and Jeff Walker, and we're all pulling for him, right? I mean, he's our local hero now, and I think there's just two in a Radar. I mean, Radar, I think just turned 70. He might kick me in the shin for saying his age, but I mean, he's one of the toughest guys I've ever met. I mean,
Yeah.
when we have him on, I'm gonna can the stories until he comes on. But I mean, I grew up learning how to ride in the mud at his place. When you showed up, and of course, I don't know, my dad always had this thing of, we had to be there, first thing. It's like, okay, the chickens aren't even out yet, and we're there. And it's a 20-minute drive from the house, right? So it's not like you got a 2-hour drive on a Sunday morning, but you know, hey, Radar, how's the track? It's a little moist. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. You know, and but I mean, those are guys we got to celebrate. And I think the other thing too is with YouTube, our channel, Toledo Track and Trail Podcast. Let's document and celebrate these people, these racers, these pioneers, the people that paved the way. I mean, you and I, MX Express, Toledo Trail Riders, we're not doing anything different than anybody else is or has done before us. We're just the next generation that's doing it, you know. So let's celebrate, the men and women that have come before us, and document it, and put it on social media, and let people enjoy it for years
What it is.
down the
Yeah.
road. Why not?
Well, I got some years on you, so I probably don't have as many years to ride as you do. But I think it was funny because Radar. I think his favorite saying is, if the race is not 3 hours, I don't care to go to it.
Right.
I'm thinking to myself, 3 hours. I can maybe, I could ride a couple of laps maybe, but
Right.
3 hours, I probably they're going to be hauling me off somewhere. So
It's tough. I remember them days, man. You get in that too, you get in that. I always started good. I always lagged in the middle, you know, started off good, started off hot, and then my mind would start wandering, about halfway through the race. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, dude, you got 2 laps to go here, you got to get going. But no, Radar, he's definitely somebody I look up to, as a local person. A lot of guys that, I ride with and have ridden with have, kind of paved the way, if you will. When you grew up around here and this is the only thing you do, you don't understand or don't realize there's a whole nother world out there for you to enjoy. And I'm not just talking racing. I'm talking riding too, going Southern Ohio, up in the state of Michigan. I mean, the state of Michigan has, 5,000 miles of ORV trail, for goodness sake, and it's within a day's drive. Um, so those are things that, that are available to you out there right now. And, not that there's anything wrong with sticking around town, but maybe you and I talking and getting different guests on will open the eyes of some people too, and maybe explore the world a little bit.
Maybe they'll give us a little couple of their inside secret trails. Maybe we can go ride. But I was going to tell you, for me as a racer, I was a very consistent racer. I lagged at the beginning, lagged in the middle, and I lagged at the end. So it was pretty good for me. I was very consistent, and but really the key word though was fun. I just riding a bike is just fun, and I've had a sort of a tough year this last year, and I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, but and then this came on in the spring. So, now it's really just trying to say, I look at these pictures and stuff, but hey, so we've got some people that
Yep.
we're looking to come on. And I think we've
Yep.
got some people that is going to give some great, info out there to us that we probably didn't know about. And maybe, give us some background. Like I said, the government right now, we don't see that big picture of why or where, they were able to not be able to open the parks and that kind of stuff more for manpower and stuff. But I think as we talked about too, we're concerned about what's happening locally here.
We are.
So hopefully we're able to, get some news out to what's going on and, and maybe some upcoming events and, that kind of stuff. So I see this as being, hopefully they're not too bored with us talking, but they're also going to be able to get some great, I know the people, on the list. I'm looking at this list going, oh my gosh, I know some of them, and some of them are like, man, who is this person? So I'm excited to see who they are too, and, but
Well, I think as we go on, we're gonna, the audience is gonna learn something, and so are you and I, and I think if you learn something and you can enjoy their personal story, because that's what makes racing cool. I remember going to the races, and it was always so much fun the night before the race, because you got buddies together, and these are buddies that you're racing against the next day, but you're hearing their stories, their time they got stuck in the mud, or they couldn't go up a hill, or I mean, my first GNCC ever, I made one lap. I was terrible. I was probably literally the worst person there. I mean, if they had that
so
award,
I wasn't there.
Well, if they had that award, I probably would have got it. It was in Millfield, Ohio. It was muddy. It was nasty, and I made one lap. I was a fish out of water, that's for sure. But you know what? You got to go through growing pains with that stuff, and it gives you the callus, if you will, to toughen up and keep moving. But no, I think as we channel this the water of the podcast here, I think we're gonna really find some neat people to talk to, and again celebrate their stories and the impact that they had for our sport that we love so much. So I look forward to it, and I appreciate you want to do this with us. So
I hopefully, too, maybe we'll get, I'm not sure, somewhere you want to put it where you can maybe get some feedback, some of our riders, because it was pretty interesting. Our sign back here, actually, I'll point to your sign because mine sort of blended in with my woods here. But, Richie Shehorn, Dynamite Designs, it does our stuff. And I heard an interesting fact that he met his wife riding dirt bikes.
perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that or not, but I was
I
like,
didn't know
wow.
that.
So I'm not quite sure. I haven't been able to ask Richie who is faster. I am thinking that Kelsey probably was a little bit quicker. But being that said, it's cool because at the track we are seeing a number of very fast young ladies, and that's out there. We have a couple come from Michigan, and we have a couple here locally. I mean, there's a number of young ladies that have been able to go to Loretta Lynn's here locally,
That's awesome.
and we've been there. My family's been there. We took the family trip. That's our family vacation. We went down there, and to see those kind of riders. So to be able to get there, my kids have never probably had the schedule to be able to try to do it. They always would like to. And my 29-year-old is saying, man, I sure wish I could have got there. Never was able to get there. But to see these kids that we have coming to our track, and to know that the guy actually got to Loretta Lynn's is pretty awesome. And then
Well,
nothing against the girls, but girls, they have to be twice as good as a guy. They have to, the guys don't think much about the girls. So the girls that get out there and ride, man, I don't know. I don't know if I want to ride against them.
I'm going to say it here right from episode 1. I've been beat by a girl. Guys, get over yourselves. The one thing that drives me crazy I know you've heard this, Marty, at the track, but it maybe not so much in today's world, but like, I remember hearing, oh, that, girl, who cares? Who cares? Just, you better watch what you say, because when she come, motoring by you and she smokes you, you're going to have a little piece of humble pie on the way home from the race, so just be quiet and do your best, and don't be surprised if that girl smokes you by the second, third turn in. So,
Well, my wife's favorite rider, Mercedes Gonzalez.
oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we were lucky to meet her when we took our family vacation to Loretta Lynn's. She was there. So my wife thought that was the greatest, coolest thing in the world. Of course, not a lot of young ones probably know her anymore, but yeah, that was really cool. So
no, that's awesome. And just so the audience knows, we have several women racers and riders on our list to talk to, and by all means, if you're watching this video now on our YouTube channel, please throw suggestions. Number one, I know everybody says it, subscribe, hit the little bell, like us, whatever you got to do there. We appreciate that. Number one. Number two, please give us suggestions, on what you want to see, because, again, we're doing this to celebrate the local Toledo, Ohio, Midwest region area racers, riders, promoters, business owners, power sport business owners, but please give us suggestions on who you want to talk to, or who you'd want to listen to, give some insight and that kind of thing. So I think Marty and I are pretty much all ears, and go easy on us though. I mean, we're not podcast experts by any means, and I'm sure something looks funny and we don't sound perfect, but
I missed that. Did you say I didn't look funny?
No, I said you did look funny, Marty. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was just checking there.
No, I mean, give us some feedback. So we're all ears. So,
well, like I said, with that history being here, I know there's people out there that's going to come up with people that's got a story, so we would never know unless somebody, throws it out there. So
no, I think we're going to be really talking to some cool people, and some people that, you're going to catch a story that, oh, I didn't know that, and, wait till Mr. Schlegel comes back into town. We're
yeah.
going to talk to him.
Are we doing like a 4-part series with Paul?
Probably should. He may be episode 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, but no, I love Paul. I just talked to him today. I talk to him all the time, and just for those that don't know, we are trying to get a movie on Paul. I call him the GOAT promoter, the greatest of all time, not actually a goat. And because all the things that he did to not only promote, motocross, but off-road and, flat track and road riding. I mean, we're going to save all that for him, for his episode, but we really need to honor that man. We wouldn't be sitting here doing this today without Paul Schlegel. I can guarantee you that.
Well, he's had Delta for many years, so that's a good thing.
Oh,
yeah. So I guess hopefully we'll see some stuff, and I mean, tell for the audience too. The more guests you tell us about, the less you hear of us talking. So that may be a good thing, So, but
yeah, I think this is the probably the episode that we're going to be the most chatty, back and forth, and once we get a guest on, we'll rock and roll with them. But definitely look us up on Facebook, Toledo Track and Trail Podcast, and same thing with YouTube, Toledo Track and Trail Podcast, and subscribe and like us and follow along. And we appreciate all the views. Before we wrap up, Marty, you got anything else?
No, actually, I was noticing the likes and the subscriptions and stuff before we even had a video. And
our goal was 15. Remember?
I think we hit it. So I'm excited. I told you, 15 people. I'm happy, and I think I can put that on my bucket list that we did it.
We did it.
but yeah, it's exciting, and like I say, I'm looking forward to talking to people that I love to hear stories. I just love to hear that kind of stuff. And again, I say we could highlight some riders that's coming up. I think that'll be really cool because,
Yep.
like I say, there's some great things coming up there too, and events. I mean, we got hopefully we've got the jamboree, right?
Yeah, the rodeo. Yep.
The rodeo back
Yep.
in at the end of the year. I'm looking for that. I'm trying to get my grandson up here so he can get in and play around a little bit too with me, and
Yep.
we can ride as a family. So might even get Lori out there. She have to dust off her gear and her boots and get her back out there to ride with me. So
let's do it. If we can do that, maybe I can drag my wife out there too. You never know. But in speaking of families, I just want to say this before we partake or close out here. But we really want to try to build this podcast as a family, family episodes, if you will. That way you can put your kids in front of it and feel totally comfortable listening to Marty and I talk with somebody. We're really try hard not to swear. If we do, we have edit buttons. We have really nice software to fix that. So we're going to apologize in advance if it does slip out. I have my Psycho Conservation Club of Michigan mug filled with Swanton's finest well water. There's no beer in there, just so you know. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for the podcast purposes, we're going to be water or pop. But yeah, we really want to build a nice family podcast here that I can put my kids in front of and do. Maybe one day we get our families on it too. Once this virus thing goes away, we can actually hang out and talk to each other.
I don't know if we want to do that, Matt, because they might like the kids better than us.
We would be fired.
Yeah, that's right. They'll move us on, retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Marty, we're gonna hit the end button here and probably head off to our respective homes. And I appreciate you coming on and joining forces with the Toledo Trail Riders, and we look forward to a bunch of episodes, and we'll see where the trail takes us. And I'm hopefully going to dream about that trail behind you tonight. That's my goal. And again, on behalf of the Toledo Track and Trail Podcast, I'm Matt Bucher, Marty Wheeler, and good night, everybody.